morning, welcome.
Good morning, by essence.
Welcome to the Talk of the Town.
God bless you.
Let's begin with the inauguration.
First and foremost, I need to correct something. It wasn't Professor Benjamin Okaba that declared a winner for the election. Actually, every normal procedure was followed in process of the election based on the functions of various organs of the INC. For instance, an ALECO was formed. According to the dictates of our constitution, which says that CITRE, at the recommendation of the NEC, does the endorsement or approval of the ALECO members. And the ALECO went ahead to conduct election on April 13. And on that April 13, the ALECO headed by retired Justice Tabai, after exhausting every legitimate procedure of electoral processes, declared President MACDONALD IGBADIWE as the winner of that election. The electoral body also went further to declare other winners. For instance, the VP1, VP2, VP3 were equally declared winners, and other positions, the legal advisor, the publicity secretary, the auditor, the organizing secretary, everybody, secretary and assistant secretary. So that now led to the inauguration of the ESCO on the 13th of April 2026 in Warri. And the inauguration was superb. Superb in the sense that for the first time we had the creme de la of the Ijaw nation assembled in one place with one thing in mind, and that thing was how to inaugurate the new ESCO. Thank God every procedure was taken. A day before that day, there was a voluntary session in Warri where Professor Benjamin Okaba officially handed over Congress to High Chief MACDONALD IGBADIWE. Then the next day, which was the date of the inauguration, everybody was fully represented. Is it the CITRE? The CITRE had in attendance the Vice Chairman and Secretary of CITRE. Is it the NRC? The NRC leadership led by Jeff Feyebo and his other ESCO members of the NEC, of the NRC, were present. Clan chairmen were represented. Zonal chairmen, all of them were there. The zonal chairman of Central Zone, and the person of Theophilus Moses, His Royal Highness Theophilus Moses, was there. The man the zonal chairman of East and Western Zone were present. We had in attendance also chapter chairman. The chapter chairman of the Benin chapter and his ESCO were there on ground. The Lagos State chapter chairman and his ESCO were there on ground. The Abuja chapter, the Akure chapter, all the 4 chapters were fully represented. Not only that, we had on set a unifying factor of the Ijaw nation when it comes to the music world. We had the 3 topmost musicians present there. Who are these musicians? We had the person of King Parama himself. We had Alfred Zoimbi, and we had Barrister Smooth. And the traditional presence was overwhelming. The King of Ogla Kingdom, the Pere of Kabonwe clan, all representatives of CITRE from all the zones, Eastern Zone, Western Zone, and the Central Zone were there. So it was something that was embraced by all Ijaw people. Why am I saying so? Like I said earlier on this program, we had over 660 delegates that were part of the process of electing a new president. And out of that 660 something delegates, over 550 were present on ground, were accredited. And they represented the whole Ijaw nation. There was no clan that was left out. Is it from the Abarowei clan that I belong to? Is it from Kolokuma Opokuma? Is it from Kolokuma clan? Is it from Opokuma clan? Is it from Ibeno clan? Where? Those in Akwa Ibom, everybody was represented. So what you saw on the date of the inauguration, on the 14th of May, was a confirmation of the fact that the Ijaws have decided to move forward, that the Ijaws are united, that the Ijaws came out with a purpose to work as a team. And before High Chief MACDONALD IGBADIWE was inaugurated and his ESCO, there was a motion to dissolve, which is a proper thing. There was a motion to dissolve the old ESCO led by Professor Benjamin Okaba. And it was proposed and seconded by Ijaw people. It was proposed and seconded by the Ijaw people. And the process of the inauguration took place. And who did the inauguration? A traditional ruler who happens to be the traditional head of the Ogala kingdom, was the one that administered the oath of administration and of office on High Chief MACDONALD IGBADIWE and the 13 members of his ESCO. The 13 members of the ESCO cutting across various interests. Why am I saying various interests? I am deliberately using that word various interests because when it comes to issues of election, unlike the popular belief in the political circle, where there are no political parties, you have what we call slates. You understand? So at the end of the day, it was not as if High Chief MACDONALD IGBADIWE was a product, was produced and every member of his slate was voted. No. For instance, it's a mixture of interest. The president is on his own. The general secretary, the auditor, the public secretary and others, they came from a different slate. So it was an election that was the freest and fairest so far as the INC is concerned. I say that without fear of contradiction because I knew that every process required to make an election free and fair was taken into consideration. In the morning of that election, accreditation were done. That happens to be a member of the INRC in the dispensation of Professor Benjamin Okaba. I witnessed 2 or 3 NRC members whose names were not captured. And what happened? They told them, so far as your name is not here, you will not vote. So if you are not accredited properly, if you are not recognized properly as a delegate, nobody entered that place. All the 547 persons that went in that day were fully accredited and they voted based on their conscience. They voted based on their conviction. They voted based on the fact, for instance, that they wanted somebody who knows the in and out of the Ijaw nation. For me as a person, before I decided to join the boat of High Chief MACDONALD IGBADIWE and some other persons who were convinced to be part of it, we listened to him, we heard him, and were convinced beyond reasonable doubt that if this man will be able to tell us the history of every Ijaw clan, then he's the right person for the job. We were convinced beyond reasonable doubt that we wanted to think outside the box this time around. And at the end of the day, he was elected. So the inauguration was a very sweet one. The inauguration was a very nice occasion. And he lived up to it. That is the person of High Chief MACDONALD IGBADIWE. When he handled the mic to address Ijaw people, the first point he raised was this. Yes, my brothers and my friends, some of them contested this election with me. And a winner has emerged. And I, as a person, the unity of Ijaw nation is foremost in my heart. So what I intend to do is to reach out to them. Let us build consensus. Let us forget what has happened. Whatever that it is, two persons cannot be president at the same time. It is one man that will be president. And I, as that person that God has given that mandate to lead the Ijaw nation for the next 5 years, I will not just sit back and sit in my office and say, no, let me carry on with business. No. But what I have to do is I want to reach out to these people. A committee will be set up to reach out to every one of them. Let us talk as brothers. Let us talk as friends. Let us talk as brothers. Let us talk as friends. Ijaw people have spoken, and so let it be that way. But I, as a person, I want to discuss with them. I want to tell them, election has come and gone. Bring your ideas on board. Let's move Ijaw nation forward. He did not stop there. He went further to tell Ijaw people the good plans he has for the Ijaw nation. For instance, he talked about degradation. He talked about political neglect. He talked about political participation, especially in two states of this country, Edo State and Ondo State, where Ijaw people are domiciled. None of them is given recognition. So based on that, he wants expanded participation of Ijaw people. So he will fight, he will press, he will work legally, use all legal means to make sure that the Torebe State, the Oil River State are created. So Ijaw people will be given more room to participate. Somebody will not just wake up one day and say, for instance, in River State, where Ijaw people are domiciled, for the fact that an Ijaw man was first military administrator in 1967 up till 1999, and they say, oh, Ijaws have been dominating River State, so now that we have the opportunity, let us dominate as well. But when Oil River State is created, the Ijaws will have a free operational ground to move like it's in Bayelsa State. Nobody will say once a governor is elected in Bayelsa that if the person is not an Ijaw man. Every Bayelsa is an Ijaw man, and that is the dream of MACDONALD IGBADIWE, that when Oil River State is created, everybody there will be an Ijaw person. When Torebe State is created, every person there will be an Ijaw person. He did not stop there. He went further to say, look at Bayelsa, the only state created by the Ijaw people. There are some states in this country that have over 44 local governments, but Bayelsa just have 8. He said, no, it will not be business as usual. We will press forward. We see to its logical conclusion that at least Bayelsa State will have 24 local governments. He talked about our brothers who are in Akwa Ibom, Ibenon, a community known as Ibenon. They are the ones that is hosting Mobile Producing, Oil Producing Limited. They are the ones that are hosting Corn Oil, now Saplat also. But they are not giving that recognition. So it is time we speak as one voice. It is time we move as a group of persons who have that purpose of making sure that no Ijaw man is victimized in any part of this country, in any part of the world. That whenever an issue arises, there will be a voice that will be loud enough to say, no, this is the way we feel this thing should happen. This is the way we feel this thing should be done. A lot of things. So what am I saying? High Chief MACDONALD IGBADIWE, by the grace of God today, has been inaugurated the president of the Ijaw National Congress. He has an ESCO that is functional. So every Ijaw man should please and please join hands with him to move our nation forward. We don't have any other place but Ijaw land. We don't have any other place but Ijaw land. We must think Ijaw. We must sleep Ijaw. We must talk Ijaw. I am quoting the words of my president, High Chief MACDONALD IGBADIWE. For instance, you talked about presence of military personnel, court judgment, what have you. You see, you cannot abort an already born child. You can only abort a pregnancy, but you cannot abort an already born child. High Chief MACDONALD IGBADIWE won an election and was preparing for inauguration. It's just like, for instance, May 27, 2027. That is supposed to be the swearing in of a governor or a president. Somebody now say, I am shifting it further.
May 29, you mean?
Yeah, May 29, yeah. If somebody says, I'm shifting it further, you are trying to shift a goalpost, and it's an impossible task, because by doing that, you create a lacuna. Yes, there was a court judgment from Yenegua on the 12th of May. But on the 8th of May, there was a judgment earlier on the 8th of May in Warri. And the judgment was specific. The judgment was self-explanatory. It's not one of those judgments that you see two sides arguing. It favors me. The other one says it favors me. No. The judge was specific. One, there should not be a vacuum in Ijaw nation because an election has taken place. Two, it is not sacrosanct that the election or the inauguration will be done in Yenegua. The inauguration can be done either in the eastern zone or the western zone. So those points were clear. Then when you talk about shifting the goalposts, yes, actually there was a statement that advised, I use the word advised, that the inauguration should be suspended until other issues are taken care of. But I drive my mind back to an issue. I am responding to the last caller. An election was slated for March 7th, 2026. Fortunately and unfortunately, the election was shifted. By 13th of March, I am drawing the mind of this caller, another Bayelsans. On the 13th of March, a meeting was called in Government House. And in that meeting, it was resolved that every other person, every matter in court should be withdrawn. All cases were withdrawn except one. Except one on that, after that March 13. From March 13 to April 9, you had over 3 weeks to try and mend fences. But people decided to keep quiet. Then when on April 9, an expanded ESCO meeting was called, what happened? Some persons called a different CITRE meeting. Well, knowing fully well that the opportunity would have been better utilized if they had attended that April 9 meeting. But the answer was, the response was rather negative. So when the 9th April expanded ESCO meeting approved April 13 for election, the parallel meeting of CITRE gave a different position that the election should not go on. We started dragging forth and back and front until still the courts maintained that election should hold. Before that election, the last caller I'm referring to you, before that election, there was no injunctive order. No court stopped the election. If they have any court paper that said the election should not hold, they should present it. There was nothing like any injunction. There was no injunctive order. And the election were held. After the baby has been born, you want a lacuna. Because Article 14(2)(k) of the INC Constitution says once there is a lacuna, CITRE takes over. But I am happy to tell the world today that at the inauguration of May 14th in Warri, CITRE was ably represented. The presence of CITRE was seen and felt because the vice chairman of CITRE was there. The secretary of CITRE was there, and other kings in Ijaw land. You see, we have to correct an impression. INC has 6 states. Ijaws are domiciled in 6 states. So you have the traditional ruler, traditional rulers from Edo State. You have traditional rulers from Ondo State. You have traditional rulers from Bayelsa State. You have traditional rulers from Rivers State. You have traditional rulers from Delta State. So when you say CITRE comprises of everybody. And it has an ESCO. It has a chairman and all the rest.
Well, critics say that the inauguration undermines the rule of law, especially when you overlook what the courts have said in Yenagoa to move to Delta State. Will the leadership then comply with any future court ruling that affects the position when they already have...
Lichman, if you listen to
what
me...
What message does this situation then send to Ijo youths about institutions, institutions that respecting and obeying and following the due process at all times? Considering the fact that this controversy has created divisions within the INC.
No. See, let me...
There are aggrieved stakeholders. Are you trying to reconcile them, or are you just opening old wounds? Are there ongoing mediation efforts within the organization? Because if we're looking at the fact that there were court judgments against the inauguration.
Lichman, I said on the 8th of May, there was a court judgment that said the inauguration should go on. The court judgment of 12th of May came from a corresponding court, a court of corresponding jurisdiction. It came from a high court here. So show us a stay of execution from a higher court. But that is by the way, because we are talking about reconciliation. But when it comes to critical questions like this, we have to address them.
080-38667-664. That's the phone number to call to be part of the conversation. Please turn down the volume on your radio set. And when you're calling to the program, we're still discussing the INC. We have a guest, Christopher Abarowei, who says that the inauguration of Chief MACDONALD IGBADIWE was in order. And he thinks that all those who were on the other side should come closer and mend fences.
Talk about compliance. It complied. You see, the problem we had was the drafters of the Constitution. Because it is not heard of that there will be a screening panel and there will not be an appeal panel. Why we are having this issue is nothing other than saying because of the fact that there was no appeal panel. It's not captured in this Constitution. An appeal panel is not captured in this Constitution. So when the same electoral body that made a pronouncement now reverse themselves, even the Supreme Court can reverse itself. If you see good reasons or better reasons to reverse yourself in the Supreme Court, you do that. If it had been an appeal panel that cleared Elder T.K. Ogoriba and High Chief MACDONALD IGBADIWE, we will not be having issues like this. So the Constitution itself created that problem. But be that as it may, we had to move forward. We just have to move forward. So when you talk about compliance, there was compliance. Before the election, there was an ELECO that was inaugurated. The ELECO went to work. The ELECO invited interested persons to pick their forms. They picked their form, filled their form, fulfilled all righteousness, and submitted. And there was a screening. The ELECO screened, and after the screening, High Chief MACDONALD IGBADIWE was screened out. And as a true Ijoson who knows what he's out to do, he felt the treatment was not fair to him. So he went to court. When he got to court, the court said include him. He now asked for extra 1 week to sort of reach out to his followers, because with that pronouncement you are sort of demoralized his team. They said no. He still went back to court, and the court gave a judgment that the election should not hold. So the election did not hold. But like I said, from March 13th till April 9, there was window. Now the election now held on April 13th. And all necessary processes were followed. The ELECO did a good job. And Lichman, Article 22 specifically stated that the ELECO should be part of the inauguration. The ELECO was full on ground in Warri for the inauguration. But we have gone beyond that. What we are talking about is reconciliation. What we are talking about is reaching out to other aspirants, other presidential candidates who contested in the process to say, okay, everybody share your sword. We have a role to play. We have different roles to play.
And I did ask you earlier on, I say, is there any consultation with elders, with stakeholders, with delegates, with anybody at the moment? Are there ongoing mediation efforts within the organization? What steps are you taking to reconcile the aggrieved stakeholders? I asked you that question earlier on.
Yes, what I'm saying is this, Lichman, what I'm saying is this. If you talk about one-on-one consultation, yes, it's been going on. But within the next couple of days, I can assure you, a team will be made public to reach out to everybody. Because reaching out is our main focus now. We must reach out. You see, there is no electoral process that people will not make arguments. Even President Bola Tinubu, somebody took him to court. Governor Doyediri was taken to court. The INC constitution did not specifically say the swearing-in must be held in Yenagoa. On November 23, 1991, Professor Dimien's inauguration was done in Warri. So it's not the first time. Now, when you talk about swearing in, I made reference to a court ruling on 8th of May 2026 by Justice Akpovi also. The ruling was clear that it is not captured in the INC constitution that inauguration must take place in Ijo House. That inauguration can take place in any of the zones, either in Port Harcourt or in Warri. So it is not captured in our constitution. Please, it is not.